It's Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John.
And wait, where are you?
I'm in an undisclosed location. Actually, you guys, I am in the UK. I'm in London, England, for work. And so I'm in a hotel room. I've got a wonky Wi Fi connection. I've been traveling. That's why the episode's late and why it's going to be short and sweet today because I don't know how this is going to turn out. So you guys have to be patient with us, okay? That's all we ask of you.
Absolutely.
And also, we ask you to become a member and support the show so you get high quality episodes like this one for just the cost of $2.99 a month, less than a Starbuck. You get exclusive live member only streams, bonus episodes, a whole lot more shout outs. And this just helps Richard and I go to future shows like at the beginning of February, California Comic Con. Richard and I will be there in Orange, California for the Comic Con Terry from Terry's Comics puts on every year. Right, Richard?
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And also looking forward to you telling us about the hot book of the week. What is it?
The hot book this week is Tales from the Crypt number 46. This is EC Comics back in 1955. This is the final issue of the series. One of the stories here was adapted for a movie, a 1972 Tales movie. This is really, I think, highlights the strong sales of Silver Age horror titles right now.
Well, that's actually Golden Age.
Yeah, you're right. 55. It's 55 golden.
55 is still Golden Age. It's right on the cusp because, Showcase number 4 with the Flash is considered this beginning of the Silver Age, and that's 56.
I thought it was 55. Okay. Then this is then golden age. GPAs, and the reason why this book is hot is just there was a recent high sale for a 7.5 of 2161 this month, which is amazing. The June 2023 sale for 9.4 went for 17,500. And
Wow.
then there is this 2003 sale of a 9.2. I was looking at this is up in GPA. Back in 2003, the book sold for 1,783. If the 9.4 went for 1,750 or 1,750, sorry, that 9.2 is probably a $15,000 book for a $1,700 investment. I call that good.
Yeah, look at the return over 20 years. Of course, it's zero point 0.2 grades higher, but that means everything with these older books. And what do you think of this cover?
I think it's a good cover. All I love EC. I have avoided like the plague in actually buying any EC books because I know if I start, I am going to go down that rabbit hole. Um, Tales of the Crypt. I was never a big Tales of the Crypt TV show fan. The Tales of the Crypt covers to me are a little busy, but that's just a part of the charm of this era of books.
Yeah, I agree. Well, speaking of books, I think it's time for a real quick show and tell. So let's switch screens, shall we? Go. Boom. All right, here we are. A pixelated show and tell. Hopefully, it's not too bad. And being in the UK, we landed in the morning, little jet lag. But what's the first thing we did? We got on the tube and went comic book shopping. So, gone to a couple places so far. We stopped at um, our two favorite shops, the Notting Hill Comic Book Exchange, and
Mhm.
then we went over to Gosh Comics in Soho. And I've got a little stack here. I'm
I'm
not going
wearing
to
a
show.
Forbidden Planet shirt just in honor of your trip.
Oh, what's say that again?
I'm wearing my Forbidden Planet shirt.
No, no, this is a ABC Beauty Stab shirt from their second ill-fated album that I'm a big fan of, and so just representing a little new British new wave.
Okay, you didn't
Uh,
hear anything.
what's
I
that?
was pointing out that my shirt is
Oh,
Forbidden Planet, which has a store there in London, which is what I was.
okay. Well, now we've both explained our shirts through the magic
Power
of
of
garbled internet. This is why it's a short one this week, you guys. Um,
so what you got?
Ready for this? McKind Man, number 13.
Oh, the Pence version.
It is a Pence version, exactly. and
This
great Steve Ditko, Marv Wolfman book, and just a really cool Pence version with
Mhm.
all color comics, color spelled incorrectly. Just kidding, just kidding. So that's my first one. What do you have?
I have an infamous book. I don't know if I've ever really showed this before, but
Oh man,
it's the acetate cover for Ultimate Fallout 4 Facsimile.
you're a
Love,
brave man admitting to
love
that at this
me
point.
some controversy. I bought this because I wanted it. I had no intent of buying it and flipping it. This is a book that goes into my collection. So I think I paid 200 for it at at the peak when things are crazy. I got it at the beginning of that whole mess. So I pulled this because I'm thinking about sending it in this to CBCS. I wonder what they are going to do with this. Um, yeah,
A
have you,
rainbow label.
it's rainbow. For those who don't know, there was this whole controversy. This is a store um, variant where what they did is staple an acetate cover over a regular cover, and did that without the permission of the original um, variant publisher. So they got in a lot of trouble. CGC now marks this with a green label because it is not, unless you got in early and you got yourself a nice blue label. Don't ever send that in for a reholder, please. Um, so it's got some controversy around it. Like I said, I liked it because it was partly for the controversy around one of my favorite characters, Miles Morales. So part of my collection forever.
Would you get it screened, pre-screened for a 9.9 for CGC?
Ah man, I was watching Swaggle House last night. Shout out to Mickey. He had a great show where he was talking um, about that 9.9 pre. That's just wrong in so many levels.
Brutal. Uh, this is a fun one. This is we talked to. I think I showed the U.S. version of this on the show a couple weeks ago. But this is Race for the Moon. This is an Alan Class reprint version of Race for the Moon, where they just used the title
Mhm.
for anthology, sci-fi anthology stories. And I'm going to read the cover to you. Cloven hooves. The great god Pan had cloven hooves, and he played the pipes too. It's just an illusion.
It's hallucination.
Or hallucination, yes. Just the most bizarre cover. Anybody know if there's a source for this cover or if this was an originally drawn cover for this? Let us know. But
That is not the cover I would expect for a title called Race for the Moon.
no, it's definitely nightmare fuel. And you get in here, and it looks like it's a lot of. Well, here's the Man Who Collected Planets. It looks like it's a reprint from House of Mystery from DC, drawn by Jack Kirby, and then a lot of I'm blanking right now. The people who published Herbie, um, the Fat Fury, that company, ACG, lots of ACG reprints in here, and just a mishmash of publishers and artists. These Allen Class reprints are something else. They're considered somewhat worthless here, but I think I got this for £2.50. So for a book from the '60s, not too bad, or '70s rather. There you go.
Cool. Next book I have is in honor of our trip to um, California Comic Con. This is Marvel Superheroes #1. This is the second print variant. You could tell it's the second print because it's got Spidey there in the box, and here the price box in the corner box is different from the first print. I got this back when the first time I went to California Comic Con with you, John. We were, leafing through boxes, and these people had, excuse me, leafing through boxes, and these people had two of these for $25 a piece. We weren't really sure what it was because we knew
Mhm.
something was off, but not really sure what. And then for $25, I decided I actually bought both of them because I was looking for a Marvel superhero Secret Wars. Um, so we got home and found out, yeah, this is a low print run second printing of this book, and in high grade, it's worth a significant amount. This one is a good grade. It's probably like a 9.0, if I would have to guess, 9.0, maybe 9.2. Um, but yeah, this book always makes me think of that show, and that's where I got my Fantastic Four #5,
Yep.
and that show will always stand out to me.
It's funny you pick that, just the synergy you and I have, because I have, I'm trying to figure out what issue it is. Secret Wars 2, issue 51 from Marvel UK.
That is a
Uh,
great.
yeah, this was a weekly here, and they reprinted Secret Wars 2. And if you're wondering why Daredevil is on the cover for a book that's reprinting Secret Wars 2, it's because it reprinted all the crossovers too
Oh,
each week. So this is issue 51. I'm not quite sure how many issues it ran, but look at what I paid for it.
£4.
£4. And this is going to go to our mutual friend Forrest, aka DD Comics fan, who is a serious Daredevil collector. And I thought this was a slam dunk purchase for
Oh,
to help him out.
absolutely. My next one goes to be careful what you buy in that FOMO mode. This is
Mhm.
Berserker #1. This is the gold. This is the foil version. I have like 8 copies of this puppy because they were it was hot. This whole title was hot. You know,
Yep.
Keanu Reeves was doing a book, and Keanu Reeves was hot. He's still hot. I like Keanu Reeves. But yeah, these books were I thought they were going to go for a premium. They have languished. They sit in my box, and who knows? Maybe at some point they'll do some movie property of it, and it'll be worth what I paid for it again.
Hmm.
But until then, this is short box fodder for me.
I saw this and thought, there's no way I'm letting this sit there for £6 and not pick it up. It is from, I'm trying to see, December 1976. It is a weekly called The Superheroes, and it's got the Scarecrow on the cover.
Okay.
And it also has reprints of the original X-Men and Giant Man in it. Now, tells you the difference in different in markets. The X-Men were not considered cover star worthy enough. The Scarecrow was. And this looks like it reprints the Scarecrow story from Marvel Spotlight. I'll have to take a look, but it definitely looks like that same kind of cover, and just really interesting the characters they would pick to be in this book: Scarecrow, the original X Men, and Giant Man. I think the new X Men were less than a year old at this point, so they weren't a thing yet, especially over in the UK.
Wow.
And I
And that
love the Bronze Age Marvel's horror stuff. So there you go.
and that's magazine format, right? The
Yeah,
magazine
yeah,
size.
giant magazine format, very thin. In fact, let me open it up and we'll take a quick look inside, because I know a lot of you guys don't get to see these British weeklies. There's something else. Oh, look at this. If you want to grab the Giant Holiday Grab Bag Treasury Edition, it's only 50p from your newsagent. Here we go. Starts off with a reprint on the inside front cover of a Tales to Astonish Giant Man and Wasp story with El Toro, all in black and glorious, beautiful black and white. Then you've got an X-Men reprint, To Save a City. It looks like it's a reprint with Count Nefaria. Yeah, with a new splash page that they had to draw because they couldn't reprint the entire issue. They had to cut it into segments. And
They have
then,
posters in those weeklies.
what's that?
Do they have posters in those weeklies?
Some of them have like little giveaways and posters inside. This one does not. And this does have the Scarecrow story from Marvel Spotlight, which let me see how many pages they decided to do. They only reprinted the first. Let me get this. the first 7 pages. So the editing on these stories is really brutal. And it's just kind of like it's continued next issue, and you have to buy it each week. So really, really strange format.
My last book is a book that is totally me. It is Archie Comics number 271. It is the infamous Pearl Necklace book. It says there you got Archie and Betty, and Archie says, "I bet, I bet, I can't read it backwards. I bet this frisbee flips out Veronica on her birthday." And Betty says, "It sure will, Archie. She's expecting a pearl necklace."
Aww.
Innocent times. Um,
In the back of the jalopy, right?
that's what we'll give it to her. Yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
so this is one of those innuendo covers. I love it because it is that kind of um, contextual innuendo. So to the innocent people in the 1950s or early 60s when this book came out, didn't mean the same thing it means today.
No, it absolutely did not. Well, it is time for an abbreviated, sadly, version of our favorite segment in yours, Viewer Mail. My first piece of viewer mail comes from Glenn Simpson, who writes, in response to me asking if the characters from Young Justice are still a thing. All 4 of the main characters from Young Justice are indeed all around and in those same identities. Bendis brought most of them back in that last version of the series. Cassie Sandsmark and Yara Flor share the Wonder Girl name, although technically Flor doesn't consider herself Wonder Girl. So her name was Yara Flor. I thought she was a drag queen from Drag Race, but no, I was right. Thank you, Glenn.
My piece of viewer mail is from our buddy OJ Pimpson. Regarding CBCS and their consistently fumbling every opportunity CD drops in their laps, I used to think it was incompetence. CBCS should be on social media attacking CGC and replaying the immaculate videos on a loop. But the truth is, CBCS simply doesn't have the investment or infrastructure to grow in any meaningful way to challenge CGC. I suspect if they grew submissions by 25%, the entire company would implode. Beckett, their parent company, has dropped to fourth place in number of cards graded after being kings in the industry for 20 years. These companies are teetering on the brink of insolvency. CPCS will need to be acquired by a real company that can put a real investment into growth, maybe to PSA, before it can ever dream of challenging CGC for market share.
The views expressed on Viewer Mail are those of the viewers and not necessarily those of Bronze and Modern Gods.
He brings up some really valid points. To me, I'm thinking obviously in the abstract, the things that they should do to capitalize on the problems that CGC has had. But he may be right. Maybe they don't have the capacity to be able to accept a huge increase in number of submissions. We've seen some really abysmal turnaround times from CBCS in the past, and I think the problem there was partially capacity. If all of
Mm.
a sudden they had a big influx of books, their turnaround time would suffer significantly unless they turn around and hired a bunch of people. Well, it takes time to train those people, and then you run the risk of all of a sudden those customers who came to you because CGC had dropped the ball have short memories, and they go back to CGC. You've got an overcapacity in staff. Now you got to deal with
Right.
that. So maybe it's a planned growth that doesn't include um, growing too fast, and I could support that.
That makes sense. We'll test it ourselves, I guess, when we submit our first submissions there in the very, very near future. But from the near future to the distant past of 40 years ago, 1984, it's time for the old fart rule. Okay, you have the old fart rule this week. Take it away.
Yeah, this week I picked Amazing Spider-Man number 248 back in January 1984. Here's the beautiful book.
I
I
know what this is.
Yeah, man, I do not like this cover. I do not like this cover. The cover is done by Terry Austin and John Romita Jr. Just don't like it. Anyway, this book it's got two stories in it. The lead story is about Spider-Man fighting Thunderball, blah blah blah. He beats him, blah 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 blah. It really just is kind of a Spider-Man fight by by the numbers. Nothing spectacular, and you knew going into it how it was going to end. Um, this book's main the backup story is the real gold in this book. You got little Tim, who is this guy sitting in his bedroom, and he's Spider-Man's biggest fan, and he wants to meet him. And the story's told through there's a newspaper article that's being read on the screen as you're going through the story. And the story says um, that 9-year-old little Tim is a super fan, and he wants to meet Spider-Man in the worst way. So what happens? Spider-Man, jumps into his window, and there he is, and he starts talking to Tim and going through Tim's collection of Spider memorabilia. And Tim is over the moon because Spider-Man is spending time with him, and Spider-Man is just really just getting involved with this kid. And at the very end, Spider-Man goes to leave, and as he's going to leave, Tim asks him, "Who are you for real? Who are you?" And you see Spider-Man pause, and then he takes his mask off and turns to Tim and says, "I'm Peter Parker, and I took all the pictures that you see in the newspapers," and he's just floored that he's sharing his secret identity. And then Spider-Man puts his mask on and wings his way out the window, and the story wraps up saying that poor little Tim is dying of leukemia and only has weeks to live. So Peter basically gave him his dying wish. It touches you, it gets you in the feels. At the time, I don't remember reading this book. This book is from my personal collection, so I have read it. I just don't remember reading it back then. But yeah, this is a Ron Friend's pencils in the book and story by Roger Stern. It's listed at least in terms of what Wikipedia says uh, as the top 10 Spider-Man stories of all time by Wizard magazine, and it definitely is one of those unique stories in the Spider-Man mythos.
I want to give Marvel credit for not revealing in a story years later that Tim grew up knowing Peter's identity and is now an evil supervillain.
Apparently, later on in the '90s, Peter meets his brother, Tim's brother, and he shares that he did pass. So yeah,
Oh, jeez.
they did have
But he
closure.
didn't share his identity, did he?
Apparently not.
Okay. Whew, crisis averted. It's a classic story, and I think that's the story. I don't know if Ron Friends do the first story, the lead story in that issue, or did he just do the backup?
I only saw that he did the backup. I don't know if he did the lead
I think
story.
that was kind of like his audition. He ended up taking over Amazing Spider-Man on the art with Tom DeFalco writing it for years. So yeah, excellent issue. Definitely one of the classic Spider-Man stories. Good pick. And that's it. Hopefully, this wasn't too much of a train wreck. You guys were able to see and hear us okay. We promise I'm going to try to find a better internet connection while I'm here. I'm here in the UK for a week, but we will keep the shows coming. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, John. You and Rafa have a good time there in sunny London.
It's not too bad. All right, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Everybody, stay safe.